Thank you very much. And I'd like to add my welcome to everyone to today's webinar. We have a great set of speakers joining us today. We have Amal Fatka from Google Cloud.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here.
Great. And Amal is the Managing Director of Global Telecom Industry Solutions with Google Cloud. And we have Alexander Gilbeau, who's the Director of AI and Advanced Analytics at TELUS.
Hi, everyone. Super excited to be here today.
Excellent. So let's dive in. In order to meet the challenges of 5G, the growth in traffic, in connected devices, in IoT devices, in cell sites, in application demand for high bandwidth or low latency or both, in order to meet the challenges of this network metamorphosis and a data lake of information that is now turned into an ocean tsunami, CSPs have mapped out a plan for their digital transformation with these well-articulated goals that start with transforming customer experience. Some key features of the CSP digital transformation are cloud and edge computing, which are considered to be two top enabling technologies. The hyperscalers are becoming increasingly important to the CSPs, not just as enablers of digital transformation, but also as close strategic partners. Customer experience always ranks high on the CSP's list of priorities. The COVID-19 pandemic has only reinforced that. The pandemic ushered in major changes to customer engagement, accelerating the shift. So how do CSPs strike a balance between their growing list of IT projects for improving customer engagement and operational efficiency and the mandate to keep CapEx and OpEx in check for 2021 and beyond? To support investment in customer engagement systems, CSPs have to ensure that solutions have a unified customer engagement strategy that promises to deliver a consistent experience across channels, including the more traditional channels like retail and contact centers. CSPs are doing this by continuing to invest in central data repositories, developing a robust data management and analytics infrastructure, and ensuring the integration of customer engagement channels with these capabilities. This is, however, easier said than done. Synthesizing data across multiple sources, analyzing it, acting on it with an AI engine to deliver high-performance multi-channel customer experience in a scalable fashion is beyond the capabilities of most CSPs today. So if we see here some of the key initiatives that CSPs are working on today, 29% of our respondents identify the first three. And as you see, those are using cloud-based models to improve agility, scale, and efficiency, creating a data-centric organization, using open APIs to make it easier to integrate and innovate. But the interesting thing about this is that no initiative was chosen by more than 30% of our respondents. We asked them to pick three, the percentages had up to 279, so most did pick three. Each one of the initiatives grabbed between 15 and 29% of respondents. That's not a lot of spread. All of the CSPs have priorities, areas of focus, top initiatives, but they are not the same. There is not one roadmap. We don't really expect there to be one roadmap, but we did sort of expect there to be a couple of signposts along the way, maybe a beacon or two. This is a complex process. Everyone is working at their own pace. Everyone is choosing areas of focus that they believe will yield the best results. If we talk about the barriers that the organization faces attempting digital transformation, so the larger issue, not just focus on automation, but the overall barriers for digital transformation. What we're seeing here are legacy organizational structures impeding progress, with a lot of our respondents voting for that, complexity of product, portfolio, and processes, depth of technology silos, and they are deep, the extent of the changes required to manage analytics capabilities, legacy OSS, legacy BSS, lack of IT skills. All of these are going to sound familiar to our CSPs on the call. So the end of this story is that we are looking for partners on the digital transformation journey. And we asked them, who do you think are the most important partners for you on this journey? And interestingly enough, they did not say the network equipment vendors who have been their partners for decades and sometimes hundreds of years. And it's a decent spread here. The first choice, the hyperscalers, is the partner that they're looking for digital transformation. The thing is, digital transformation for the CSPs is less about the network, more about the data and the customers. You'll recall from our first slide that the top goal was transforming customer experience and relationship enhancement. And then we were looking at issues of new digital revenue streams, business agility, time to market. For that, for transforming the customer experience and relationship enhancement, for that, our CSPs think that hyperscalers are the partners that can best help them on their journey to digital transformation. So let me turn it over to Amal. Are they right, Amal?
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you very much for going through that level set. Hi, everybody. Very excited to be here once again. Managing Director at Google Cloud, responsible for our CSP industry solutions. Jennifer, to your question, absolutely. This is exactly the trend that we are seeing at Google Cloud ourselves. So at Google Cloud, we are actually very excited to see this whole digital transformation that you described, Jennifer, and our CSP partners are on that journey as we speak. And a lot of those are actually on the call today. And why is that digital transformation so important? To your point, Jennifer, it is actually about customer experience and it's about data and the ability to drive insights from data. And why is the data problem so huge? So our estimates believe that by 2025, we will get to something like 163 zettabytes of data in the world on a per year basis. That's 163 trillion gigabytes of data generated per year starting from 2025. And if you look at the pandemic that Jennifer was referring to, in the last 2 years, we have actually created more data than 5,000 years of human evolution before that. So you can just imagine the volume of data that is being generated globally. And so that actually creates this perfect storm of there is data there. We have to make sure that data is secure and safe from a privacy perspective. And at the same time, we have to be able to be in a position to process all of that data at very high scale. You imagine the scale that I'm talking about in real time and create insights also in real time to empower our CSP partners to go through that digital transformation. So this is why this problem is so hard. And at Google Cloud, we are hyper-focused on helping our CSPs transform themselves, to Jennifer's earlier session, in these 4 areas. We are creating solutions for helping them grow their revenues through our edge infrastructures, which is the first solution pillar on the left. And then we are, of course, driving a lot of our data analytics and AI capabilities to help CSPs transform customer experience, whether it's in the customer layer or in the contact center. The third pillar of our solution, which is really around network transformation, and that's to do with how we can help CSPs transform their network infrastructure. And then finally, of course, core IT systems as well as workforce transformation, which is a very important aspect. Now, the survey that Jennifer showed us clearly highlights that among these 4 areas, and they are all big areas of focus to drive revenue, to transform TCO with network and IT transformation, and customer experience. But what ranks at number 1 position is definitely the building low touch, high value digital experiences. That's clearly coming out as number 1 for our CSP partners. So the data analytics and the ability of using AI in the domains that I have shown you here, customer, contact center, and network, is something that I will show you in the next few charts as use cases But the idea behind this is simple. Let us look at that data and create an analytics platform that helps you to drive insights in whichever solution that you're trying to drive. So think of data really as a steel thread that cuts through all of those solutions that I am showing you here and helps you create insights regardless of what you're trying to do. I'm going to take you through some of these examples in a little bit more detail. So if I look at the first example, which is contact center AI, we have been working over the last 2 to 3 years on looking at this problem of data management and analytics in the care environment. Why is this so important? In a post-COVID world and in the last 2 years of pandemic, it is clear that the primary touch point for all of our CSP partners is actually their care environment. So whenever their consumers call them for billing or issues or new offers or provisioning, care is their single point of contact because we are living in a virtual world, so to speak. And so transforming that interaction into a hyper-personalized experience is what contact center AI is all about. And it's composed of 4 components. At the heart is our conversational core engine dialog flow, which makes an interaction with a machine just as seamless as if you were talking to a human. And then on top of that conversational core, we have this ability to build virtual agents, which are essentially 24/7 interaction touch points, self-service touch points, and are seamless to the actual human agents. Second component, very important, is agent assist. So while virtual agents provide the capabilities to have conversational self-service, agent assist empowers human agent with continuous support using our conversational core and using our AI ML models and helps them go through a step-by-step mode of procedures when they're interacting with the customers. And then finally, at a macro level, using our natural language processing capabilities, we look at the overall pattern of customer interactions. We look at what intents are getting driven, what are the common issues, and actually helps care managers learn about the macro trends and let them really offer hyper-personalized experiences and create that touch point into something that's a lot more and helping them drive that customer lifetime value. The next use case is now extending that concept of hyper-personalization, but taking it from contact center AI and taking it all the way to customer data platforms and customer-facing systems. So if you go and click on a browser and you start to have an interaction with a CSP of any kind, typically you will have customers doing this all the time. And the volume of data that I described before is huge when we talk about these customer interactions. So we at Google have been building a analytics-powered data platform that provides 3 things. It collects and transforms all of these customer interactions that are happening in real time, which is a very important point. It then helps build an analysis and a visualization capability on top using capabilities like Looker and BigQuery, which then allows the customer-facing systems and managers to activate in real time things like cross-sell, upsell, offers, and upgrades. And the real-time instance of this that I keep emphasizing is very important because that's the only way to drive churn reduction and to significantly enhance the customer lifetime value. So that's the same concept of driving data and analytics and AI into a domain of customer-facing systems. And then finally, we are showing you the last use case of applying the data methodology into the network domain. So here, I am showing you 4 different domains inside network: planning and optimization, customer experience management, network operations and service assurance, as well as network monetization. All 4 essentially look at taking volumes of network data being generated by network operations and then creating automation, closed loop orchestration, insights that help operations to completely turn this around and rather than being reactive, become proactive to preventive type assurance models. This has a massive impact not just on TCO because you're running this in a lot more efficient way, but also on customer experience because having preventive assurance means you're always one step ahead of whatever the network throws at you. I won't go into each of those details for the interest of time, but I will cover just one, which is RAN modeling. For instance, we worked with a very large CSP recently and using Google's global data around geospatial clutter data as well as radio propagation models, we have helped them build a RAN model based on AI and ML that allows them to maximize the potential of the spectrum that they have, which again presents a huge benefit from a capex opex perspective. But in addition to that, also improves network performance in real time and then hugely impacts customer experience in a positive way. So those are the specific use cases of how Google Cloud is partnering with our CSPs in terms of using data analytics and AI. And on the next slide, you will see that we have a number of those large CSPs already on this journey with us. So we saw earlier this year, and I'm sure folks on the call have seen our announcements with Vodafone. It's a strategic relationship that we have announced, where together we're going to build an integrated data platform that ultimately brings all of the data together in a holistic way and creates insight on top that helps us solve the use cases that I've been through today. In the case of Verizon as well as Optus, they have gone for the contact center AI solution as a way to harmonize and transform their care environments and move towards hyper-personalized customer experience when it comes to contact center AI. And then finally, you have also seen our landmark announcement with TELUS around what we are planning to do with them around data, AI, and various other elements of our strategic partnership. Who better to explain that partnership more than our next speaker, Alexander from TELUS, who's Director of Analytics and AI there. So before I hand over to Alex, thank you very much for listening to me. We will take your questions towards the end of the session. And Alexander, over to you.
Thanks, Amal. So again, really happy to be here. I'm the Director of Advanced Analytics and AI at TELUS. I lead a team of software engineers, data scientists, and data engineers that deliver value through the use of data inside of TELUS. I wanted to take a step back and explain a little bit the journey that everybody's been on in the past few decades. So over the past few decades, most, if not all, companies have started their digitization journey. This has provided new optimized way to run businesses by automating or refining some key processes. Through this profound transformation, every industry has started to gather incredible amount of data that enable an expanded and broader view of their business. This data, in combination with the advances in data science and cloud computing, is setting the ground for what I would argue is a new era that we might call later the age of insights. As when we transition from the age of mass production to the age of software and digital, we will for sure need to adapt at various levels. Data science projects are by definition much riskier than software projects. Today, some studies have evaluated the success rate of data science projects at lower than 20%. This is not necessarily a big deal if the ones that succeed are having tremendous impact on the business. But there is obviously a lot of room for improvement. To be successful, I see two ways to improve on this: accelerate and minimize failures. Failing is okay, it is good. We don't innovate without failures. This needs to be clear and encouraged by management. But failing at the end of multiple months working on a project is much more impactful than testing the right hypothesis at the very beginning. That way, teams will quickly know if a project is worth pursuing, if a pivot is needed, or if they should drop this one and already move on to the next opportunity. Both accelerating and minimizing failures can be achieved by a combination of the cloud technology and a new approach to managing our teams. Today, as I only have 10 minutes of your time, I will only go over a quick glance on how a good approach to the cloud transformation is helping us succeed in this new era. At TELUS, one of the main issues we were facing, as I'm sure many of us can relate, is that our data is currently spread across multiple different teams and on different architectures. One of the first and foremost advantages to move to the cloud is to aggregate all of those data points into a common data layer where everyone will be able to find faster with a broader picture of the situation. Breaking data silo is key in order to maximize value creation. But this all needs to be designed in a proper fashion, keeping security and privacy by design in mind. As an example of how breaking data silos can create value, at TELUS, we have a long-standing commitment of putting our customer first. We wanted to make sure the network performance for everybody was up to the highest standards. But network management, as it is today, is having a really network-centric approach. We had RF engineers ensuring metrics were great at a site level without being able to know if people actually cared, if they were actually being well served in those areas. By combining some session-level KPIs with customer complaints on the network performance, we were able to create a network experience score that gives us real-time perception our customers have of their data session. Those new insights on the real-world customer experience have helped us to deliver the fastest wireless network in the world in 2020. The second main advantage of transitioning to the cloud is the fast iteration opportunities. By having the data readily available, having the highest standard of anonymization, and having on-demand resources, we can accelerate all of data engineering tasks. We can fast-track internal privacy and security processes, and we can accelerate the training of and deployment of models. The evolution of Google Vertex AI will also empower us to do touchless MLOps. Today, with the complexity to find the right data, the complexity of security and privacy concerns, and the complexity of our processing architectures, creating and deploying a machine learning model can take between 3 to 6 weeks. By consolidating the data in an anonymized manner and leveraging cloud computing resources, we expect that we will be able to reduce this time to about 3 days, and we plan on reducing it further to less than 1. This journey will set the ground to continue our mission to make the future friendly for both our team members and our consumers. For that, we want to make sure data science is democratized around the organization. Data science is seen today as a highly complex toolkit reserved only to a few highly skilled professionals. With our partnership with Google, we want to democratize those powerful tools to make this part of any team's possibility. We also want to empower more businesses to leverage insights. Together with Google, we will redefine the way healthcare and agriculture solutions are delivered. We will increase collaboration and efficiency between healthcare providers. We will provide consumers with fresher and healthier food by improving traceability. And we will enable business consumers to streamline their IT and network operations. Finally, we will also be expanding the reach of our insights and accelerate their creation. We will be able to test ideas quickly and cheaply and make the results available to everyone to scale on the impact. We are all really excited about our collaboration with Google and looking forward to continuing making the future friendly for our customers and our employees. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Alex. And I think we are ready to move into our Q&A, and we have a bunch of questions lined up. So this is a question for Amal. What is Google's differentiation in helping your CSP customers?
Fantastic question, Jennifer. Look, at Cloud, we have been looking at a few things that we believe are fairly unique. Let me start by actually talking about data and analytics, because that is, of course, a fairly unique thing. I mean, Google is privileged to have access to information and data for the last couple of decades. And therefore, we have improved our tools around accuracy, safety, privacy to the point where we believe we can create AI ML models based on that data that can create insights that really are actionable and real time. So that really is the first and foremost key differentiator relevant to this topic. The few other things going there in the sense our alphabet-wide capabilities also help us in the sense that certainly when it comes to things like network optimization and so on, Jennifer, then we actually have device level understanding given our Excel deployments and our Android deployments globally. And that device level insights help us to then drive network and cloud level insights. And again, that's something that is fairly unique compared to the cloud industry as a whole. And therefore, that's also quite a big sort of alphabet level synergy that we get as Google Cloud. The third thing is around multi cloud innovation and our thought leadership that has been going on for years around Kubernetes, and we now came up with Anthos a couple of years ago. Because in order for that data to get processed and consumed in a holistic way, you do need an application management platform, which in our case is Anthos, and we deliberately designed it from day one to run in a multi-cloud scenario because data could exist in various different clouds. Doesn't have to be on Google Cloud. It could reside on-prem, it could reside on any other clouds, but it doesn't matter because we essentially just pull in that data with BigQuery as long as you have capabilities like Anthos and other things running. So that's also a big differentiator. And then the final one is the ecosystem of partners that we work with, Jennifer, because for us to create insights, you need a whole set of partner universe that needs to be onboarded on that ecosystem. We by no means think that Google has all the apps ever written on this, and the idea is to enable that ecosystem through our data platforms. And so that also is fairly unique to us, given the kind of ecosystems that we have onboarded on our platform.
Let me turn for a quick question to Alexander. Which of the use cases presented by Amal is TELUS implementing?
Oh, I would need maybe to see the slide again, but there are many. So I think every single component had some examples. I don't know how much I can get into the details, but for sure, we're doing a lot with the network. So we're for sure one of our main priorities to ensure our customer experience is best on our network, having more a customer-centric approach to customer sessions and less of a network-centric approach, going through in the direction of having a self-driving network. That's for sure one of our goals. But there's also a lot of other use cases that we can do by leveraging the data from various departments. TELUS is really a unique telco company in the world because we've started to invest in various other business. We also have TELUS International that is supporting various initiatives with other industries. We have TELUS Agriculture that is a consolidation of many companies delivering services to improve food traceability and improve the crops that we're planting in some location, leveraging insights for a better world for tomorrow. And we have also TELUS Health that is helping a lot the ecosystem of healthcare in Canada. All of those different businesses are all generating tons of data. And when we're able to see all of that at once, we can really share those insights and leverage those insights for various use cases. So there are some for sure in marketing, but there are some to improve the lives of Canadians. We helped a lot during the pandemic with some of our data. So there's tremendous impact that our insights can generate, even more when we are able to have a view in the cloud of every single business unit and collaborate together on this really important data set.
Okay, so CSPs have typically been full of siloed data, as we were discussing earlier. How is TELUS breaking down those silos? What are the mechanics or steps?
That's a really good question. So it's been a long fight. It's not something new that we're starting to do now with the transition to the cloud. It's something that is really needed and is for sure normal that it happens. So I'm sure every telco and every big organization across the world has the same kind of issues. We have many databases, many different tools, many different business units that needs to take their own decision and no standards that were there previously. So there's always been an effort to consolidate and to break those data silos, to collaborate more together. Moving to the cloud is a really good opportunity to take another step into this direction. So while we're doing this, we're really ensuring that we make everything in a clean manner and set the grounds to grow and continue to ingest new data that is well documented into a single data dictionary and that has only one single source of truth. So a part of my team, we have the data governance team that is responsible of tracing this data and making sure that every data is cleanly shared into a data dictionary that everybody has access to. and that there's no data duplication there. We have a team that is responsible of migrating those data into the cloud, so also ensuring that everything is done the proper way, standardized way that all organizations will follow. And then there's my team that generates value through all of this data once it's generated. So one other thing that is really helping for all of our team is that we have kind of a neutral situation. So some teams will have a data silos because of political reasons. They might protect their data. Today, our team is there to help other teams. We're more in a neutral situation, not reporting per se to the network engineering or to the marketing. We're here in the middle, trying to bridge the gap and help all of those business units see the value into collaborating and sharing the data. So I think this helped a lot.
So you were well on your way to breaking down the silos in anticipation and prior to the project, except for those that, as you say, for data sovereignty reasons, you needed to keep in silos. That's great.
Indeed.
Here's another question for you, Alex. No conversation is complete without a security question. How is TELUS ensuring security as it engages to combine both customer and network data?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's really important because we build our trust with our stakeholders and our consumers by making sure that we use their data to generate value, but also promotes respect and deliver security through it. And the trust is really how our company is built. It's always critical for us. And I think security is always critical for any business, but it's even more important for companies that, such as telcos that have access to sensitive information. We need to make sure we have our customer trust and we act accordingly once we have this trust. So TELUS has established the TELUS Trust Model to reflect our commitment to protecting the privacy of those who entrust their personal information to us. We build trust with our stakeholders by using this data always with respect, and always making sure that the security is built within every project we start. So we have a clear process that every single project that use and leverage data inside of TELUS needs to go through the security office and have a stamp of approval before we can go ahead to make sure that this is really secure by design. Also, as a telco, we're bound to ensure that our customer information can never leave Canada. So even though we're leveraging the cloud, we are making sure that the cloud infrastructure is built in Canada, the data will stay in Canada. And on top of this, every data that we push on the cloud is always anonymized. So this data can't be reattributed to any single subscribers. It's always the mass amount of information that helps us to generate insights and are not directly toward one single customer that we could re-identify.
Great. Okay. How does cloud help the wireless operator in terms of real-time related KPIs monitoring and troubleshooting? That sounds like it might be for you, Amal.
Yeah, let me take a stab at this. So as I said in my opening remarks, there is really three big issues when it comes to data management. Right? Number one is the sheer volume of it, it's just a lot. Number two is, as Alexander said, it's in multiple silos. It's not really in one cohesive place for us to make sense of it. And number three, to the question of APIs, many use cases require real-time analysis of that data. So there's no point, looking at this data in a holistic way and then analyzing it, and then 6 hours later saying, there is an issue, and you need to do this, because that insight is too late. It really has to happen real time. So the APIs that Google is pioneering in many cases leans upon the work that has been done by Apigee, the company that we acquired a couple of years ago. And Apigee has a very comprehensive API-driven framework that we are now reusing for the purposes of looking at APIs that can be generated through mobile networks. And the APIs would be things like, location, proximity, network data, identity. So there's a bunch of attributes that the network is always signaling via APIs. And using that framework, of course, we then work closely with folks like TELUS and Alexander's team to then connecting those APIs into OSS BSS systems for them to action those insights automatically. And so those APIs are the bridge between data analysis that's being done and then letting the systems on top react to that insights and build actions. So that's what we're doing.
What are some of the key challenges that the CSPs face when it comes to data management and analytics? So let's broaden the topic.
Right. I mean, I think Alexander actually covered a few of these, but let me have a go. So security and privacy is a big challenge because obviously there is going to be data that has very stringent sovereignty requirements, survivability requirements, operational control requirements. And so there is that challenge that needs to be solved for, and we do that at Google Cloud with a set of capabilities, enterprise keys, giving partners like TELUS complete control on that data in those particular cases, and really ensuring that A, it is encrypted, B, it is in their sovereign domain, so there isn't an issue with sovereignty, and then three, not impacting the flow of analytics, because as a result of encryption, if you then started delaying the insights that you get, then that's not good either. Right? So that's the first challenge around security and sovereignty. The second is just sheer performance, because some of that AI processing and modules require chipsets and hardware that are not general purpose software processing or hardware processing. Right? This requires very sophisticated compute instances, which again, TELUS has been testing with Google Cloud for a while now, around things like TensorFlows and other AI modeling hardware, because these computations are fairly intensive at the volume of data that we're talking about. So that computation challenge is the second challenge that is there. And the third one is really the real-time nature of some of these insights, as I said, because if it's not real time, upgrades are no good, churn reduction is no good. There's no point us offering something to a consumer 6 months after their service expired. There's a big gap that shouldn't have happened. So the real-time analytics of this is very important. Also, Alexander and the TELUS team knows this well as well, that some of the network outages that happen require really millisecond turnaround in terms of what are the insights that you need to act on fast. So that's also a challenge around real-time processing. I don't know whether Alexander, you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe I would top up with some insights of organizational change that needs to happen as well. So I think there's a really a big culture and organizational change that needs to happen. In order to deliver value through the insights that we generate, we need to see the end-to-end flow. So we need to change how people operate. So we discussed about data silos, but also we have this kind of insight silo or collaboration silos. So some teams, especially when you have a big organization, are used to do the work a specific way with achieving their own objective. But when you're trying to create value, you need to interact with the business owners, you need to interact with the software developers in this team, or sometimes they're not technical, sometimes you need to access the data with some data engineers, you need to really collaborate with various stakeholders in order to deliver value at the end. So people need to evolve a little bit in the way they're thinking, instead of the business, not just about their own objective, but the business objective, and start to collaborate more in the matrix level and more towards the same goal. So every project we start, we try to be clear what we're trying to do, what kind of problem we're trying to achieve through the data. So nobody in all the pipeline just thinks about their own thing they need to deliver, but the whole thing we need to deliver here. There's a lot of complexity in those projects, so it really needs to be clear with every stakeholder what we're trying to achieve in order to create the value and then deploy it and ensure that it creates value at the end. Because creating the best machine learning model is useless if you're not using it to create value in the organization. So a lot of stakeholders needs to align in order for that to be successful.
You mentioned that only 20% of data science projects succeed. What is TELUS doing to ensure that you are part of that 20% success rate?
Okay, all right. I really love this question. Actually, I could speak for a full hour on that. There's various things we've learned through time. It's really interesting because, like I was mentioning at the beginning, I think we need to change a little bit the way we think about a project. We went from waterfall to agile mindset, I think we need something new, even for data science. We've seen that Agile is not well suited for data science. It can be surprising because Agile is the new thing, but actually Agile is not agile enough for data science. So we started to do Agile because some projects were really risky. We were learning stuff along the way. So we tried to reduce waterfall approach, long project that can take a few months, into like quick sprints. But even those sprints are way too long for the kind of project we're running. So we can't wait until the next sprint to do a pivot or to kill a project or to create a new opportunity or to remap the structure of how we were to run this project. We really need to take decision really quick. So we're trying to empower the team to test rapidly their ideas, to accelerate the failures, and to minimize those failures. So accelerating failures, actually, it can be within a day. Like if you have one big project, you know that it's dependent on one specific bottleneck. If you test this bottleneck right up front, then you can know right away that this project might not succeed. Or you might discover that you need to adapt. Like the end goal that we're trying to get, maybe it needs to shift a little bit. So this approach to having a fail-fast approach, having a quick value delivery, and being even faster than Agile has really helped us to be successful. And I said 20% because that's what a lot of studies have said, but I think internally we're having a much better success rate than that. And when we fail really fast. Within a few days, we know if a project will be successful or not, so we don't need to waste a lot of time. And I'm saying that we've learned a lot through that. Like I still see some like old projects that are still running for multiple years that had a waterfall approach. And now I'm starting to understand that it's bound to fail. Most of the time we'll go over budget, and over time, if we run it in a waterfall approach, there's too much uncertainties. You can't manage a project like that. You really need to be hands-on and to empower the teams to take their own decision and to encourage them to fail, because it's good to fail. You don't innovate if you don't fail sometimes. So it's actually something that needs to be communicated with the team often to make sure that they remember that and they feel comfortable to fail.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. And with those words, I'd like to end our webinar today. Thank you very much, Alex. It was a pleasure to talk with you.
Pleasure was mine.
Same here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And I'd like to thank the audience for listening in.